Buckle up, everybody, because today we are diving headfirst into the world of Bitcoin.
Sounds exciting.
It is. Early 2025 has been a wild ride.
Yeah.
And we've got a whole stack of reports and articles to unpack. And believe me, you are going to want to hear this.
I'm ready.
We're talking Bitcoin hitting some really big price milestones. We're seeing major players making some pretty big moves.
Interesting.
And even governments are starting to take notice. Governments too?
Yeah. So to kick things off, let's talk about MicroStrategy.
All right.
Because they just bought a ton more Bitcoin.
Like how much are we talking?
Like a huge amount.
Okay.
2,138 Bitcoins.
Wow.
To be exact.
Seriously?
Which brings their total to...
Hold on, I got to write this down.
Yeah, get ready.
Okay.
446,400 Bitcoins.
That's insane.
That's a lot of Bitcoin.
That's got to be worth a fortune.
It is.
How did they even pay for all that?
Well, get this.
Okay.
They sold company shares to fund it. Wow, they're really going all in on Bitcoin, huh?
Yeah. I mean, what do you think that says about how they view Bitcoin?
Well, I think it's a pretty clear sign
that
they see Bitcoin as a long-term asset.
Long-term, like how long are we talking?
I don't think anyone can say for sure.
Right.
But it's clear they're thinking way beyond just short-term gains.
Interesting.
You know, it's like they're betting on the future of Bitcoin.
Yeah. You know what?
Yeah.
It's not just MicroStrategy.
Oh, really?
Governments are starting to show interest in Bitcoin as well.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah. For example, Switzerland.
Okay.
They're thinking about adding Bitcoin.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
To like their national treasury?
To their national reserves.
Wow, that's a big deal.
Yeah. Alongside gold.
No way.
Yeah. And then there's Germany.
Okay.
Well, their former finance minister, he actually suggested that the European Central Bank should also look into holding Bitcoin.
So not just Switzerland then?
Yeah. It seems like some countries are at least open to the idea.
That's a pretty big shift.
It is.
I mean, what happens if this becomes a trend?
Exactly.
Like what happens if central banks around the world start holding Bitcoin? I mean, what would that do for its legitimacy?
What do you think?
I mean, it could be huge. It could totally change how people view Bitcoin.
Right.
You know, make it seem much more like a mainstream asset.
Yeah. It would definitely lend it some credibility.
Exactly.
Okay, so speaking of potential shakeups, let's talk about the U.S.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of talk about the incoming administration and whether or not they'll be pro-Bitcoin.
Interesting.
There's even been talk about creating, you know, like a strategic Bitcoin stockpile.
Oh, wow. Like a government reserve of Bitcoin?
Yeah, that's wild.
And then there's also this possibility of a crypto advisory council.
Okay.
Headed up by Paul Atkins.
And who's that? Who's actually a pretty well-known Bitcoin advocate.
So basically a bunch of Bitcoin supporters advising the government.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on all of this?
Well, I think it's hard to say for sure what's going to happen, but I think government involvement in crypto, it's kind of like a double-edged sword, you know?
In what way?
On the one hand, you know, clear regulations could actually be a good thing.
Okay.
It could bring more stability to the market.
That makes sense.
And, you know, potentially even attract more institutional investors.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Which could be good for wider adoption.
Right.
But on the other hand, too much government control could end up stifling the innovation that made crypto so appealing in the first place.
That's true.
It's kind of a delicate balance.
It is. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so now let's talk about what I know everyone's thinking about.
What's that?
The price.
Oh, yeah, the price.
Remember back in December 2024 when Bitcoin hit $100,000?
Oh, yeah, that was a crazy time.
It was wild.
People were going nuts.
So what do you think were the main factors?
Well, a few things really contributed to that price surge.
Like what?
Well, first we saw the introduction of spot Bitcoin ETFs, which basically made it much easier for everyday investors to get in on Bitcoin.
Right.
And then there was the Bitcoin halving event.
Yeah, I remember that.
Which basically means that the rate at which new Bitcoin is created was cut in half.
So less Bitcoin coming into the market.
Exactly.
To increase scarcity.
Exactly. And you know, that reduction in supply combined with increasing demand, it just naturally drives up the price.
Right. Basic economics.
Exactly.
So, you know, basic supply and demand. And then, of course, there was all the buzz about those potentially Bitcoin-friendly policies.
Right, which we talked about earlier.
Right, which we were just talking about. So all of that combined, just kind of fueled the fire.
Yeah, definitely.
And, of course, you can't forget about Bitcoin's limited supply.
Right.
21 million coins total.
Exactly.
That's a major factor in its price dynamics.
It definitely is.
We're already at about 19.8 million in circulation.
Wow, so we're getting close to that limit?
Yeah, so, the closer we get to that limit, potentially, those remaining coins just become that much more valuable.
Absolutely. It's like a limited edition collectible.
Right.
The fewer there are,
Yeah.
the more people are willing to pay.
Right.
But, with Bitcoin, it's not just about scarcity.
What else is it about?
There's this whole narrative around it.
Oh, okay.
About it being a store of value.
Right.
A hedge against inflation.
Okay.
And a potential alternative to traditional financial systems.
Okay. So all of these factors are contributing to its perceived value.
Exactly.
Okay. But here's a curveball.
Oh, no. What now?
What about quantum computing? Those super powerful computers that are supposedly going to be able to crack?
Yeah.
Like even the toughest codes.
Yeah. Quantum computers.
Yeah. Some people are saying that they could threaten Bitcoin's encryption.
Oh, that's not good.
So what do you think about that?
Well, I think it's a valid concern.
Okay.
I mean, current quantum computers
aren't
powerful enough to break Bitcoin's code.
At the moment.
Right. Yeah. But the technology is advancing really rapidly.
It is. I've been hearing a lot about it in the news.
Yeah, and the good news is the crypto industry is already working on quantum-resistant systems.
Oh, so they're ahead of the curve.
They're trying to be. They're trying to safeguard against any future threats.
So would you say this is something that we need to worry about right now?
It's definitely something to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
But, it's tough to say exactly when quantum computers will pose a real threat.
It's hard to predict.
Exactly. But, the fact that the industry is already being proactive about this, I think that's a really positive sign.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's zoom out for a sec.
Okay.
And look at Bitcoin on like a global scale.
Sounds good.
In the UK.
Okay.
A whopping 7 million people.
Seriously.
Now own some form of crypto.
Wow.
Which is up from 5 million just a couple years ago.
That's a huge increase.
And it's about 12% of all adults in the UK.
That's a pretty sizable chunk of the population.
It is.
And that growth happened while Bitcoin was on its way to $95,000.
Exactly.
Wow.
And we're also seeing more and more people holding larger amounts of Bitcoin.
Like how?
Between £1,000 and £10,000 worth.
So people are really putting some serious money into this.
Yeah. So what do you think all of this means?
Well, it seems to me that Bitcoin is becoming much more mainstream.
Do you think it's...
it's not just a fringe thing anymore. It's like entering the mainstream.
So is this like a sign?
I mean, it's hard to say for sure.
Yeah.
But it definitely seems like it's headed in that direction.
Okay, so let's do a quick recap.
Okay.
We've got companies betting big. Governments starting to take notice.
Yeah.
We saw a massive price surge fueled by a bunch of different factors.
Right.
We've got the whole quantum computing question looming.
Yeah.
And global adoption is on the rise.
It's a lot.
It's a lot to take in.
It is.
So what do you think the big takeaway is here?
I think the main takeaway is that Bitcoin is not a niche topic anymore.
Right.
It's something that's becoming increasingly relevant.
Yeah.
To, the global financial system.
Yeah.
It's important for people to stay informed.
Absolutely.
Keep learning.
Yes.
And, form their own opinions about what role, if any, Bitcoin might play in their financial future.
Exactly. So here's a final thought for everyone listening. With all of these developments happening so fast.
Yeah, it's moving quickly.
What do you think the future holds for Bitcoin?
That's the million-dollar question?
It is. Is it a bubble? Is it a safe haven asset?
Good question.
Is it a technological revolution?
Who knows?
Or is it something else entirely?
It could be anything.
Let us know what you think.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you.
Keep exploring.
Keep learning.
Keep asking questions.
And stay curious.
Until next time.
See ya.